Okay, so welcome to the Node.js Technical Steering Committee meeting for April 6, 2022. We will follow our standard approach of going through the issues and agenda that was tagged. Tagged in the issue that was in issue number 1203. Before we get started, does anybody have any announcements that they'd like to share?
Planning is
I do.
good.
We've released Node.js 12.22.12 yesterday, and that is the last. The release group is not planning any further Node.js 12 releases. So Node.js 12 will go end of life at the end of this month, end of April 2022. After which it will receive no further updates. So the only scenario we envisage where there will be a further Node.js 12 release is if there were any sort of security vulnerabilities between now and the end of April that we deem we would want to put a release out for. But otherwise, that's it. Node 12 could be considered sort of almost done, pending the end of the month, assuming nothing else comes up. So if you're still running applications on Node 12 and you're watching the stream, we can only reiterate again, please upgrade. If you want to continue getting security updates in your Node.js runtime, you need to be on Node 14 or Node 16 after the end of this month.
Okay, Rich, you have your hand up. You have an announcement as well?
Yeah, so Waleed Ashraf asked us to announce that planning for the OpenJS World Collaboration Summit in June is happening. I believe it is to be a hybrid event where some people will be on site in Austin, Texas, and other people will be, probably most people, I'm guessing, but I don't know, will be attending remotely. We need to sort of get the word out to all those sort of node teams and working groups and everything else. And people basically submit their session proposals, and we need to create an agenda for the sessions. And Waleed has asked if basically wants to tag at Node.js members, and I put a comment in the TSC issue that I think he should do that. And so if anybody has concerns, because sometimes people don't like when you tag a team that has 600 members, but in this particular case, I think it's appropriate. And any other comments or things you want to follow along in, it's TSC repo issue 1204.
Thanks. And yeah, and we hope we have as many people attending the Collaborator Summit. And I think that we submitted issues through the same way in the Summit repo in the past and worked quite well. So yeah, please, everybody, start submitting your sessions. Any other announcements before we move on to the issues tagged for the agenda? If not, CPC updates. Rich, do you have any CPC updates?
No, there was this was a working session week, and the working session was canceled. So no CPC updates.
Okay, and don't have any updates from the board either on this for the public section here. Okay, let's move on then to the issues tagged for the agenda. The first one is nominate Rafael Silva, 4257. I think that's part of our standard procedure. I don't know who.
Yeah, nominations for collaborators get announced in the meeting, so announced.
There we go. Okay. Okay, the next issue then is export V8 API, V8 trace API. This is number 42462. I'm just opening that. If whoever added it is here, feel free to jump in, but I think this one was added by James, and I think we maybe discussed it last time. Then we've said, let's wait until he's available. Sounded like that might be next week. So maybe we should just defer to next week.
The next one is Collins, the node module, node prefix for.
Right. The next one's 42 42430. Do we have, yeah, Colin's here. Do you want to pick that one up?
Yeah, so we talked about this one last week. My action item from last week was to send a summary email to the TSC. I did that. There hasn't been a lot of activity on the email. We kind of proposed coming up with a resolution in a week. So here we are. So yeah, I don't really have anything else to add except people need to weigh in on it.
I would propose we do a vote.
Same.
Clearly this conversation has run its course. The people who are going to be engaged have been engaged, and yeah, we need to make a decision.
I'm in agreement. Anybody object to kicking off a vote? Because I think we need to do that and do it quickly to be able to make the decision before 18 goes out.
And I forget who have, well, anyway, does anybody volunteer to sort of organize and run the vote? Like I think Antoine did last time, I think was the last vote, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe someone else did it.
Yeah.
I can't remember, but
yeah, sure. I can set that up. Try to find some time to set it up.
okay. And Colin, in your email, I think that you pretty much laid out what the broad options are, right? There were like 3 of them, I think.
So I mean, there's like the extreme case we could revert, and then there's various different ways we could go as far as like not supporting just the scope and basically supporting it. So yeah, there's basically 2 or 3 high level options.
Do we want to agree on like what would be in the vote? Like it start using the scope as is, right? Or can we cut and paste them from the email? I just want to make sure we have a clear set and don't need to.
If we don't have a clear set, I think we'll have to clear that up in email. I don't think here and now is going to be the place. I could be wrong about that, but I don't think we have.
I just worry we said that last week and didn't make progress. So it'd be nice to be as close to the vote as we can be.
Yeah.
So I'll follow up on the email with proposed exact options for the vote.
Okay.
If Antoine is volunteering to run it, then I just say that, we go with whatever options we have by, I don't know, the end of the week, just so we don't get stalled waiting.
Yeah, and I would say that the vote should not be open for longer than a week. I think a week is plenty of time for people to figure out if they have an opinion.
Right. So that puts us at the 14th would be, does that give enough time to adjust based on the vote before 18 goes out on the 19th?
So there's a pull request that's open as well as a branch to handle one of the other cases. So as long as we don't introduce a bunch of different cases with the vote, then I mean it'll be tight because we need the reviews and CI and stuff, but it could be doable.
So Beth just put in the chat that code freeze is planned for the 12th of April, which would be a week from yesterday. Well, depending on what time zone you're in, but approximately a week from yesterday. And so yeah, so we probably want to get moving on this real quick.
I mean, I think we have, so how many, we have like 15 people from the TSC here. I guess the question would be, does anybody here have concerns about making it a shorter than a week, like, 3 days or something to try and make that 12th deadline? Give a little bit more time.
Francie says that short sounds good to her. Danielle says no concerns. Tobias says no concerns. Michael Sazo Targos says +1. I think we're all good.
Okay, so if Colin proposes the options today, tomorrow, and then we plan for something like 3 or 4 day vote.
Yeah, let's plan on ending the vote no later than Monday, and then we can rush something in
Okay.
after. But I mean, it is an experimental API, so hopefully, if we can make changes.
Right. I think it's a matter of people being aware, and yeah. So okay. So we're gonna close the vote Monday, end of Monday.
I'd say Monday at the latest.
That's right.
Let's see when we kick it. Let's see when we manage to get it kicked off. But yeah.
Okay.
And of course, that's
okay. Any other discussion we need on that then here before we move to the next one? Okay, let's move to the next one, which was issues with newer V8 versions. This is 42375.
This is Targos and Mateo.
Yeah, so I think Matteo added it for visibility, but we can talk about it. It was quite difficult to have a green CI with recent V8 versions, mostly because of Windows. Now almost everything is fine, but only if we update to what's currently in Chrome Canary. So that means 2 versions more recent than the stable V8. And this version will not be stable by the time we release V18. So I guess the first question I'd like to ask here is, are we okay with releasing Node 18 with a V8 version that's not considered stable? I think it's not even going to be in the beta branch on the day of the V18 release.
How long will it be before it is like the stable?
So according to the Chromium schedule, it will be released on May 24th.
As a matter of routine policy, I wouldn't be comfortable with that. But if we're making a decision based on empirical evidence at this time, I'm certainly comfortable with it. But I don't know how other people feel, especially the users.
I am asking that because to me there are only 2 other alternatives. One of them is stop supporting Windows 32-bit Windows versions, because I have no idea how to fix that. I don't, or someone finds the time to find which commit in V8 fixed it. I don't know if they fixed it by chance or if they knew it was broken and there's a commit that clearly fixes it. I don't know. So that would be an option to stop supporting. Maybe temporarily we could do that. Maybe not build 32-bit versions of Node until it's fixed. Or stay with the version that's currently on master and it's already like 2 or 3 months older than the stable V8. So I really would not like us to be stuck with this version in Node 18.
I'm okay with shipping beta.
A bet that asked on the chat, could we remove support, but with the aim of adding support back as a minor in May?
For Windows 32-bit, I assume.
The only Windows 32-bit. No, it doesn't affect 64-bit.
No, so I think it only affects 32-bit. We are not even sure if it's a problem in V8 or in Visual Studio. It's just that it crashes while building it.
I mean, we could release it without 32-bit support, and if there's not a lot of complaints, then we might even consider dropping Windows 32. And if
Well, there are already some complaints on the issue that I opened about it.
Oh.
I don't know how people are aware of those issues. They are clearly not active on the repository, and suddenly they come and they complain.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they came and helped. We have a challenge with the Windows issues that we don't have people who jump in to help, except you say when to complain. I don't know. I think the suggestion that we don't ship it initially, but plan to add it back is a reasonable option in terms of like we don't have to ship a version which is if people are using current, we're not shipping something that isn't even beta yet. And it's a short-term impact to 32-bit users. And, well, I don't see that as being, it seems like risk management wise for us, that seems like a good choice.
So do we agree on that? And what was the next step to to make a temporary change to the building.md documentation?
I guess it's one choice. Do other people want to think we'd be better off shipping the alpha?
So in terms of coverage, I think until April 28th, it's only in Chrome Canary.
Regarding alpha or beta, I don't really feel I have any sense of how safe or unsafe that is. So if somebody has experience or knowledge about the V8 and these kind of things, I would probably follow their opinion on the matter.
Well, I personally don't use Canary, so I cannot say if it's often if it often contains like things that make it crash.
I'm using it when I'm developing and never seen it crash, but could be different on an node.js application or something.
I guess the risk of dropping it temporarily is that when you bring it back, maybe there were issues there'll be problems added that weren't caught by the CI in the meantime. So that's the sort of negative, I think, beyond it just not being available. And then on the other side, it's the using something that hasn't been, that's alpha or whatever in our current.
Well, we could always have the beta alpha on main. The question's more about going out and releases. I'm not wholly opposed to having, something on the main branch of Node that's potentially unstable. I prefer it to be stable, but if that gives us the build coverage, if that's the only way we can build on 32 Windows, then the option is there to have what's currently in the PR on master, but I'm less comfortable with shipping that in the actual Node 18 release.
That's a good suggestion, and that we still get the full build coverage. We don't have the extra risk. That seems like a nice combination of covering both to me.
Yeah. When are we going to release Node 18?
It's April 19th.
Okay, so the previous version of V8 will be stable by April 26th. Are we okay with like 1 week of delay? I mean, not delaying a node by 1 week, but having 1 week when it's still beta technically.
I think we've got precedent, haven't we? We've done that before, where we've gone out on a major with a V8 version that wasn't stable until like a couple of days later. I can't remember which version.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think we have done that before. We agreed. We sort of asked that question at the time, and it was agreed that the risk was low.
Yeah, I think that's what I remember too. So I'm. What version would that be?
10.1.
So I think the current proposal we're discussing is like, okay, we'll go out in Node 18 with 10.1 without 32-bit support. We'll pull in the current one that's on Canary into main. And so that we still get the testing coverage.
Yeah, and update to 10.2 as soon as possible in V18.
Yeah,
right. And we don't expect there to be any breaking changes there.
I don't know, but I will try to make forward compatibility patches if it's possible.
Right. Okay.
The problem, well, I cannot do that right now because the 10.2 is not, the branch is not cut yet. It will be cut
right
in a few weeks. Like no, in 1 week. So yeah, I will have to wait for that.
Does that proposal sound good to people? Any objections, concerns? It might be good to document that. I guess the question is, documenting that in the minutes good enough in terms of making sure all TSC members are aware? Or should we do anything else?
Isn't there an issue already for this on GitHub?
Yeah, I can document that on the issue that I opened about dropping support for 32-bit and ping TSC on there.
That sounds good. Okay, any other discussion we should have on that before we move on? If not, okay, I will move on. We only have 6 minutes, but I think actually we'll be able to get through the rest of them depending on how long some of them are. So the next one is 41263, refactor headers timeout and request timeout logic, 41263. I'm not sure who added that to the agenda. Take a look. But jump
Mateo,
in.
let's move on.
Okay.
And the next one is rename default branch from master to main. I'm sure we don't have any significant updates on that either, so we should probably move on as well.
Yep, no update this week. The TSC chair election, I just opened an issue with the proposed schedule. Nothing really to discuss. So if people can, we don't need to discuss it this week. I'll say people want to take a look and comment in there, and we can leave it on the agenda. The new meeting times.
I think there's consensus for the 3-meeting rotation, and we should go ahead and implement it.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say, so agreement that three rotation version.
You'll go ahead and update all the calendar stuff, Michael, and then close the
That's
issues
right.
about how this will work.
Yep, that's what I'm doing. I will update the calendar to reflect that. Okay, the notable summary, I think we discussed last week, so we don't need to discuss this week. For time, the publishing
Respect
specs for
when you
buffer,
can.
yeah.
Yeah.
Refer to meeting where we have James on the next 10 mini summit. It's tomorrow, so just hoping everybody we have a good representation there.
I probably can't make it, but can you or someone else make sure to get word out to people about the OpenJS World Summit, Collaborator Summit?
During that, do you mean? Yeah, that we're going to have a
Is that an
session
appropriate
there.
thing to do during that? Like let people know. But yeah.
Oh, definitely. We're planning another deep dive there, so we'll definitely mention that. Okay, and that takes us to the list of things that were tagged for the agenda. So at this point, I think we can close out the public session, unless there's anything else that people want us or want to put on the agenda for us to discuss before we do that.
We usually do these strategic initiatives, but I think we can skip that this week.
Yeah, exactly.
They had something from their strategic initiative that they want people to know about. Now's the time.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop the